सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ जातवेदसे सुनवामसो ममराति यदो निदहाति वेदः स नः पर्षदति दुर्गाणि विश्वा नावेव सिन्धुन्दुरितात्यग्निः तामग्निवर्णान् तपसा ज्वलन्तीं वैरोजनीं कर्मफलेषु जुष्टाम् दुर्गां देवीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये सुतरसि तरसे नमः। अग्ने त्वं पारयानव्यो अस्मान् स्वस्तिभिरति दुर्गाणि विश्वा पूश्च पृथ्वी बहुला न उर्वी भवातोकायतनया यशय्योः विश्वानि नो दुर्गः जातवेदः सिन्धुन्ननावादुरितातिपर्षि अग्ने अत्रिवन्मनसा कृडानो ओस्मागम्भो ध्यविता तनूनाम् पृतनाजितगं सहमानमुग्रमग्निगं हुवेम परमात् सदस्तात् स नः पर्षदति दुर्गाणि विश्वाक्षापद्देवो अधिदुरितात्यग्निः प्रत्नोषिकमीढ्यो अध्वरेषु सनाच्च होता न व्यश्च सत्सि स्वाञ्चाग्ने तनुवं पिप्रयस्वास्मभ्यं च सौभगमायजस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयुजो निषिक्तन्तवेन्द्रवृष्णोरनुसञ्चरेम नाकस्य पृष्ठमभि संवसानो वैष्णवीं लोक इह मातयन्ताम् कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गिः प्रचोदयात् हिरण्यवर्णां हरिणीं सुवर्णरजतस्रजां चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः तां महावः जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं विन्दे यङ्गामश्वं पुरुषानहम् अश्वपूर्वां रथमद्याम् अस्तिनादप्रबोधिनीं श्रियं देवीमुपह्वये श्रीर्मा देवीर्जुषताम् कांसोऽस्मितां हिरण्यप्राकारामार्द्रा ज्वलन्तीं तृप्तां तर्पयन्तीं पद्मे स्थितां पद्मवर्णान्तामिहोपह्वये श्रियं चन्द्रां प्रभासां यशसा ज्वलन्तीं श्रियं लोके देवजुष्टामुदारां तां पद्मिनीमीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये अलक्ष्मीर्मे नश्यतां त्वावृणे आदित्यवर्णे तपसोऽधिजातो वनस्पतिस्तव वृक्षोत बिल्वः तस्य फलानि तव सानुदन्तु मायान्तरायाश्च बाह्य अलक्ष्मीः उपैतु मां देवसखः कीर्तिश्च मणिना सह प्रातुर्भूतोऽस्मि राष्ट्रेऽस्मिन् कीर्तिमृद्यं ददातु मे क्षुत्पिपासामलां ज्येष्ठामलक्ष्मी नाशयाम्यहम् अभूतिमसमृद्धिं च सर्वान् निर्नुद मे गृहात् गन्धद्वारान् दुरादर्शान् नित्यपुष्टा करीषिणीं ईश्वरीं सर्वभूतानां तामिहो पह्वये श्रियं मनसः काममाकूतिं वाचः सत्यमशीमहि पशूनां रूपमन्यस्य मयि श्रीश्रयता यशः कर्दमेन प्रजा भूता मयि सम्भव कर्दमा श्रियं वासय मे कुले मातरं पद्ममालिनीम् आपसृजन्तु स्निग्धानि चिक्लीतवस मे गृहे निज देवीं मातरग्श्रियं वासय मे कुले आर्द्रां यत्करणीं यष्टिं पिङ्गळां पद्ममालिनीं चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः आर्द्रां पुष्करिणीं पुष्टिगं सुवर्णां हेममालिनीं सूर्यां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः तां महावः जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं प्रभोदङ्गावो दास्योश्वान् विन्देयं पुरुषानहं महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्न्यै च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मीः प्रचोदयात् मेधा देवी जुषमाणा न आगात् विश्वाची भद्रा सुमनस्यमाना त्वया जुष्टानुदमाना दुरुक्ता बृहद्वतेम विधते सुवीरा त्वया जुष्टऋषिर्भवति देवि त्वया ब्रह्मा गतश्री ऋतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्व द्रविणो न मेधे मेधां म इन्द्रो दधातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विनावुभावा दत्तां पुष्करस्रच अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः दैवी मेधा सरस्वती सामा मेधासुरभिर्जुषताग स्वाहा आमां मेधासुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगती जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा पिन्वमाना सामां मेधासु प्रतीका जुषन्तां मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि अग्निस्तेजो ददातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयीन्द्र इन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो दधातु वाग्देव्यै च विद्महे ब्रह्मपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो वाणी प्रचोदयात्। ओम बेस्ट विशेस on the eve of Navaratri. Let Goddess Durga Lakshmi Saraswati bless all of us with whatever best we are supposed to get. Okay. So last time or till now we have completed all the basics what we need to get into the core topic of Vedanta, which is what are Vedas, what are the Vedangas, what are the Veda Bhagas, the Varna Vyavastha, the Ashrama Vyavastha, what are mantras, what are Shruti, what are Smriti, then what is Jnana, Prasthanatraya, Shruti Prasthanam, Smriti Prasthanam and Jnana Prasthanam. Many of these things would be a little Greek and Latin because you have heard it just very occasionally, so you may not remember it. and when I'm going in a revision, you will not be able to look at the pages at the back also. So just keep listening. The more you keep listening, you will understand what it is. We have also completed an important aspect on the karma theory, and with this background we said we will start with Tattvabodha, the text which we had decided to start. With God's blessing we should start that. In the meantime, there was also request that ashrama was not clear. So if there is any other aspect which you all feel that needs to be dwelled upon on whatever we have taken till now, feel free to right now tell me. Based on the topic, I will decide whether we have to stop Tattvabodha a little early, complete this question answers, or if it is going to be a bigger topic, we will complete that and then start the Tattvabodha. So based on your queries, we will go ahead. If there is anything, please unmute one by one and just ask. After this is clear only, we will move to Tattvabodha. Anyone wants to ask, please go ahead and ask.
So tell us about shloka and mantra.
Okay, shloka and mantra. Okay, any other? Any other question? Last time someone said that ashrama was not known. I'm not sure, but I think I have dwelt upon the ashrama in detail.
Ashrama is very clear.
No, fine, but someone else had asked. So if that person is there, let me know. I just saw a message on ashrama. Apart from that, any other questions? Please don't write anything because I will not understand it. I am not seeing the chat at all. Please unmute and speak.
Last time you had shared about the karma, the punya and the papa. And benchmark, you said that was the feeling of guilt, whether a particular karma is punya karma or papa karma.
No, that is not the benchmark. Huh? That is not a benchmark. See,
then what is it? Because you said you feel guilty, then like you had given the example of the jihadist. And,
okay, now let us be clear here. When we are referring to karma here, so far as you are going to talk of very, very general karmas or how to lead a life in this society, then it's a different thing. Then we have got the general virtues which you need to ensure, those value systems, that is fine. But when we are talking about karma here for prarabdha, sanchita and agami karma, these karmas are which are given by the Vedas very clearly. There are a couple of karmas which we need to do, and those karmas do not go by your own likes and dislikes. Okay. If you miss out on that karma, okay, I think I will have to give a little more detail on the karma. Apart from that, I don't want this to be misunderstood. So I will be talking about karma.
Can I just elaborate?
I will.
Can I just elaborate on this? Is the question.
Yeah.
Like when the feeling of guilt doing something like the jihad. The question, the dilemma in front of me is whether eating meat by killing an animal, I feel guilty, so I don't eat. But I see millions of people, they don't feel guilty, but they kill animals and eat. So whether this is punya karma or papa karma.
The first point which we have to remember as students here is all whatever we are learning in Vedanta or anything related to Shastra is for self-implementation. That cannot be used to judge or evaluate others. Leave others to their prarabdha. Whenever they get it, they will decide about it. Whatever is their prarabdha, they will do it. But the point is, if we can learn from someone else for our own improvement, surely do it. For example, if you are saying that I see someone eating meat, and from that if I feel that no, I should not eat meat, or I was eating meat and I should stop eating meat, go ahead and learn from that. So far as you can use it for your own self development. That is the criteria. This can never be or should never be used to judge anyone else. Okay, Shastras are very clear. It is a something for us as a manual for our inner growth and not as a manual to judge others. From our perspective as students, tomorrow as teachers, tomorrow maybe if you are standing on a court where someone has to decide, then your role is different. Then you are the Dharma Shastras. To tell which is right, I will give you a very small example and you will understand how our logic is easily fooled. There are two, in our Dharma Shastras, there are two types of sins which have been told. I am not elaborated anything on Punya, Papa and Dona. So you all are not even aware of what many things are there in it. One is called a Mahapataka and other is called a Upapataka. Upapataka is a chota sin, Mahapataka is a bigger sin. Because in that also gradation is there. Whether you want to be fried in hot oil. So based on that all that gradations will start. Okay? Or you want to be just born as a cockroach. So alag alag hai. Now keeping that aside, coming back to the point that if there is a two types of sins, Mahapataka and Upapataka, now I am going to give you two examples and you need to qualify which is Mahapataka and which is Upapataka. When I am going to compare killing a cow, and Dharma Shastra tells us clearly, killing a cow versus drinking liquor, which is a Mahapataka. Which is worst among the two?
Drink up.
Killing the cow.
Killing the cow. Killing the cow. Okay. Then
I think both are synonymous to each other.
no. Here, please. There is no. Don't get into political answers. You have only an option of telling one is more and the other or the third option is I don't know.
Then it is cow.
Then it is cow. Correct. So clearly, see, this is what when you look at it, Dharma Shastra, it is like bolte na, the lady is with eyes closed, nyay dene wala, no question about it in further. Our Dharma Shastra say it is the other way around. Huh? You will ask, what is this? Killing a cow versus drinking liquor. Drinking liquor is a bigger sin than killing a cow. If you compare, see, both are sins. Huh? That don't tell me that, okay, if I am not drinking liquor, it's okay, but I can kill a cow. No. Please don't misquote. Don't misquote. Please understand that here we are taking examples to learn how the Dharma Shastras are. Now, everyone's logic, including mine, was to say that it's a cow. Killing the cow, right? But what according to Dharma Shastra it is? Killing a cow is a one-time event. After that, the person would have done it deliberately, unknowingly, accidentally, we do not know anything. But the chances of it doing it again is very less. Compared to that, drinking is a very, very easily possible act. And not only you're impacted, many others are going to get impacted along with family and all. That is why Surapanam is considered to be a Mahapataka compared to Govada. See, the logic of Dharma Shastras are different. Huh? You may agree, you may not agree, you may accept, you may not accept, that is your call. But Dharma Shastra is not going to change. Okay? And at the same time, no one gives anyone a license to even judge what the Dharma Shastras are. You can judge it only once you know it. If you don't know it, you better don't even judge it or misjudge it. You have two options. Learn it, follow it. Otherwise, don't judge it, leave it to what it is. Say that I can't follow it and leave it there. Let the Dharma Shastra be happy there. It is not for me. I am not cut out for it. Correct? That becomes very simple. Then in both the cases, you are taking the ownership. Okay, we are not here to judge whether Dharma Shastra is right and even to change it. Forget it. It's out of our scope. Correct? So from the Dharma Shastra principles, all this sin, what to be done, what not to be done, are totally a different thing. That is why it has to be learned. That is why it is taught. The Manusmriti has got more than 2000 shlokas in Dharma Shastras. Right from everything, a childhood to death, everything is mentioned in that. And once you learn it in the right way, you understand why it has been told. Many of those things are obsolete, not workable today. But you can never say that at that time it was actually useless. No, that time it was useful. Today, because of the situation, it is obsolete. For example, today the Varnas are really, if you look at it, obsolete because that structure itself is not there. Correct? We just keep telling each other person by this name just because we have to fill some forms or anything, but in practically you are neither doing a dharma of that varna, you are not looking at the guna, nothing is happening, right? So it's more of an academic interest today. So can we say that varna system was useless? Answer is no. Right? So like that, let us not judge it. And the sins, when we say papa and punya, are very clear, and that is karma kanda. Karma kanda goes through 5 different karmas. Let me take this topic. It is an important topic for us to know it. Actually, it will not come even in the Tattva Bodha, it will be useful only in Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter. There are 5 types of karma. The first karma is called Nitya karma. The second one is called Naimittika karma. The third one is called Kamya karma. The fourth one is called Nishiddha karma. And the fifth one is called Prayashchitta karma. I will give you again details, don't worry. Okay. First one is called Nitya karma. Nitya. Second one is called Naimittika karma. Naimittika karma. The third one is called Kamya karma. The fourth one is called Nishiddha karma. And the fifth one is called Prayashchitta karma. Okay. Now, what is Nitya karma? Nitya karmas are those karma which have been ordained by the Shastras for a person to be done for that specific ashrama and specific varna on a periodic, regular basis. Okay, Nitya doesn't mean daily. Nitya means consistently, periodic, on a regular basis it needs to be done. For example, Shraddha comes under Nitya karma because it will come once in a year only for one of your parents, and you need to do it. You have no choice here. All Nitya karma are choiceless karma. For example, getting up, brushing your teeth. Okay, Shastras don't tell that. But isn't it a Nitya karma? One day can you say that, nahin, aaj bore maar raha hai, let me not brush my teeth? Not possible, right? Okay, like that we have to understand that Nitya karma is like doing Sandhya Vandana, doing Agnihotra. Some of these are every day you have to do it. Some of these have to be done on once in 15 days. Like Tarpan, Amavasya, Tarpan and all that will come only in Amavasya. You can do it only those days. Then Vrata, Ekadashi Vrata. You have to do only on that days, right? You can't do every day, is not Ekadashi. So, few things are there which are good and which have been told that everyone needs to do it based on their Varna and their Ashrama. Because Varna wise the Dharma will change, Ashrama wise the Dharma will change. Correct? How much ever you say you are a Brahmana, but if you are a Brahmachari, you cannot do a Putra Kameshti Yajna. Correct? You can't say I am a Brahmin so I can do. No, you are not eligible for it. A Putra Kameshti Yajna can be done only by a Grihastha. Matter ends. Same way, how much ever great, if you are a biggest sannyasi, even Adi Shankara, you cannot come and tell that no, I will do a particular yajna. No. A sannyasi means niragni. He has no connection with Agni at all. That is why he doesn't even cook. No homa, no yajna, nothing. And before taking sannyasa, he has to put that wooden ladle by which he does the swaha into the fire. उसको भी साथ में देने के बाद ही संन्यासा मिलने वाला है. Okay, so we are not aware of all these things. Many things are there in it. Now, first is nitya karma. Second one is naimittika karma. नैमित्तिका मतलब निमित्त आने पर हम वो करेंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल डूइंग जातकर्मा, नामकरण, अन्नप्राशन. Every day you will not give food to the child and say it is annaprashana. No, no, no. It has to be done only when the child grows to a particular age at a particular time. Then you give the first feeding, taking the child first outside, nishkramana. This is all naimittika karma. Okay. Then there are, for example, giving my son or daughter to marriage. It is not nitya karma. It is a naimittika karma. When the nimitta comes, you will do it. But you are supposed to do it. Even if you don't like it, you have to do it. Huh? So nitya and naimittika karma are regularly done karmas, and karmas done on special occasions where you do not have a choice. Understand that. It's a choiceless activity which you need to do, and if you don't do it, you have a particular papam for it. If you don't do nitya karma and naimittika karma, we attract a particular papam called pratyavaya papam. Not doing, for example, if you don't do your specific job which you have to do in the office, you will be reprimanded, right? If you are supposed to do a particular job regularly, suppose end of the month you have to give a report, end of the week you have to give a report. You will say, no, everyone needs to give a report. For me, the rule is different. Do you feel that will be workable? I hate writing reports, but I have no choice. I have to do it. It's a choiceless situation. You have to do it. Correct? So these two ones are the ones which will bring a lot of something called Chitta Shuddhi. We will see all this in Tattva Bodha in detail. Chitta Shuddhi. What is Chitta Shuddhi? We will see it. Because it is necessary for us to grow, and that is why we have to do it. Tell me which child loves to learn, study, but every parent wants the child to come first. Why? That is good for the child. So you will force the child to do it. Otherwise you will reprimand the child. कुछ ना कुछ बोल के बहला के फुसा के everyday study. Correct? So like that, these are nitya karmas. Naimittika karmas. Then comes kamya karma. Karmas for my desire. I can have desire for myself, I can have desire for the family, I can have desire for the nation, I can have desire for the whole universe, I can also have desire post death. I want Swarga. Swarga kamaschinvita. I want rains. Vrishti kamaschinvita. Amayavi chinvita. Like that you can have many desires. Any illegitimate desire not allowed by Shastra. Just because I have a desire. No. Any legitimate desire, which are dharmic desires, allowed. Based on ashrama and varna. Fitting into that, all dharmic desires are allowed. And that is why the dharma is made in such a way that all our natural instincts also end up becoming a kamya karma. Because if you do it, there is a punyam sitting behind it. If you do not do it, there is a papam sitting behind it. And both are adrishtam. So apart from the gain what I get by doing that karma, which is a material and an experiential gain, if I don't do it, I have a papam sitting. Huh? For example, taking care of my family. When does it come? Only when you decide to get into Grihastha Ashrama. So it was my desire. So I went into it. then I have to have certain responsibilities for it. There you cannot say, I will get into the family but I will not do the rest. No, not allowed. So kamya karma has to be done in a dharmic way, and if you do it, you have punyam. If you falter it, there is papa. Okay. Then comes निषिद्ध कर्मा. निषेध मतलब जो नहीं करना चाहिए. For example, meat eating, drinking, all this. Out of this also, if you look at that system, you will be surprised. Coming to this drinking and eating meat, I will only take these two topics and tell a little more about it. Then we will have clarity of what it is. This was a time, today you are sitting and telling that eating meat is not good. But understand, you are referring to a time of 5,000, 6,000 years back, where people have slowly evolved from meat eating to farming, little cultivation. Over a period of time, by changing the way of food habits, today if you are born in a house which is not eating meat, you will be very comfortable to say, I will not eat meat. I am not sure how many of you all have got any time an experience to talk to foreigners or being with them in your official job or friends or whichever. Take any foreigner who are used to eating meat every day and 5 days put them into vegetarian diet, they will start jumping. They are not eating meat for enjoying it. Please understand that. Their body requirement has become meat eating. Unless they get that much amount of protein or whatever, whichever meat is fine for them, but they have to have meat. So it's like, for example, don't take it again otherwise. You take a Bengali and say don't eat fish. उनका हालत क्या होगा? So look at it from a very, very logical approach. When you are coming that way, this meat eating was a very prevalent thing across. And these rishis saw that, okay, there was a problem not only to the ecosystem, it also had a lot of problem in terms of health of people. The ecosystem was in a trouble, health was in a trouble, your mental health starts becoming a problem. So you have to slowly bring it under control. And that is why meat eating slowly started reducing, and at that time alternate sources of food like vegetation and all started increasing. Right? Now, even now, otherwise tell me, why will milk be so important even in our system today also? Right? Finally it's an animal product. Honey is an animal product. Think about it. Honey is supposed to be very pure, good ghee, honey, milk, dahi. Which is coming from the vegetation, tell me? None of them. That means we are all, if you go at the basics, we were all feeding on animals. Right? And then slowly coming out of it and changing over thousands of years. Various millennia we have changed slowly. And that is why our systems have changed. Now if you look at it biologically also, what is that? We have one vestigial organ in our body, appendix. What is appendix supposed to do? It is supposed to secrete the juices to digest wood. Correct? Now because we are not consuming wood, that has become a vestigial organ. So go how the evolution has happened slowly, and with that perspective when you see it, that is why one of the way to curb and give people a chance to slowly de-addict. I am using a specific word. It was a de-addiction process to come out of that, and that is where the Dharma Shastras played a very important role. Okay. Every yajna, now let me tell you a few things. Every yajna had an animal sacrifice. Every yajna. most of the yajnas had an animal sacrifice. The animal used to be kept, and that is why even in our chantings everything will come. It's called a Vedi. Darbhastambe hotavyam. It's called a Vedi. There the animal is kept. And after the homa, with all the mantras, it is chopped. Not only that, the intestine is removed out. Through the intestine, the ghee has to be offered into the Agni, and the intestine has to be put into the Agni. This is the pratha of how, this is the ritualistic aspect of a yajna. Okay. And then that intestine is removed out and given as prasad to everyone. So people who have a craving for eating meat would end up doing yajnas so that they get a chance to take prasada as meat. By that, two things happen. Your craving is taken care, and at the same time slow de-addiction starts. Come to the next aspect, which is called liquor. In our Shastras, we have got two types of very clearly mentioned. One is called Somapana, other is called Surapana. Somapana are related to everything which is coming from fruit and reeds, plants. Sura comes from grains. So all your beers and everything which comes from barley, rice, any of those which are coming from grain is called Sura. Correct? And Surapana is not allowed as per our Shastra. Then what is allowed? Somapana. In short, Somapana is something like wine coming from fruits. Okay. And there is a creeper called Somalata. There is a specific time when the person, and there are, I told you there are 7 Soma Yajnas. In each of the 7 Soma Yajnas, Somapanam is a must. So they have to go to the jungle with mantras, get at a particular time that creeper, and with mantras and other things crush the creeper. Then you will get about 4 or 5 drops of that juice, pour little into that havan, and then you are supposed to have the balance. How many people know of in Rajasthan, even now the pratha is giving hafeen in the hand? Okay, it's a very, in all the functions, normally hafeen was a very common thing in Rajasthan. Okay, this is an ingrained part in our system. Why do you see so many sadhus still having the chilim? It used to be a part of the system. It was never considered wrong, but not to overdo it. And this was a nice way to expose and control. Rather than completely stop it, then we will be like the state of Gujarat. Maximum liquor sold, but a dry state, which is fooling ourselves. Correct? Dharma Shastras had that intelligence. Thoda chhoot do, tight pakdo. Chhoot do, tight pakdo. And the beauty of these Soma Yajnas used to be, how you know? The Shastras tell, if you do not want to have that drop also, I mean, I have really started getting my mind control and I can be without it. Then they say, okay, in the next Soma Yajna, just smell it. That smell itself will give you a little feeling of okay. And slowly you will stop smelling it also. So the Shastras, see, this is the dharmic way of, it allows you to do to nicely de-addict yourself. So there are as many things you want to see, it is how you want to look at it, it gives you a very clear positive perspective to it. And then controls could be very easily exercised by these things. Right? So it is not something which has come over a period of time blindly, that it just continues. And whichever came blindly has never continued also. For example, I will tell you, Sati system was never a part of our Dharma Shastras. Never. It became a pratha just to protect the ladies. Suppose the king is not there or the husband is not there, so they went themselves to immolate themselves. It was out of choice they went. But that could not sustain also, right? That is why Sati Pratha stopped. So whatever is naturally acceptable to the human needs, if the Dharma Shastra puts, that clearly gets accepted. Anything which is pushed upon does not sustain. Does not sustain. Hopefully I have been able to give you more idea about all these things. Coming to the next one is called Nishiddha Karma. Nishiddha Karma is something which you are no, not to do it. That means if you are doing something which you are not supposed to do at that time, then it is Nishiddha Karma. For example, a Grihastha taking a Brahmachari Vrata is a Nishiddha Karma. You are not supposed to do it. That is why you are in a Brahmachari ashram, you are supposed to do that. There are specific times when you take specific vratas, you can do it. But otherwise, no, I will continue. I just married because people told me, but I am going to be a Brahmachari. No. Nishiddha Karma now. Please understand. See, they are very clear when it comes. What you are supposed to do, you are supposed to do. It is not beyond your like or. But what you want, Nishiddha Karma normally comes based on your own desires. Okay. Why would you do something which is told not to be done? Because you cannot control your mind. And once you do that, then you are reprimanded. What is a reprimand? So sometimes it happens that you have lost control on yourself and you do some karma, whatever it is. But later on, the good sense prevails and you say, oh no, I should not have done this. For whatever reason. The moment that comes in your mind, you have a prayashchitta to be done. So our Shastras will never allow you, because there is a prayashchitta, I can keep doing whatever I should not do. मतलब इधर एक निषिद्ध कर्मा करो, उधर जाके प्रायश्चित्त करो, वापस निषिद्ध. It's not a license to do निषिद्ध कर्मा. No. If that is the idea which people have, कि anyway प्रायश्चित्त तो है, तो अभी जो मनता है कर लो, बाद में एक प्रायश्चित्त गंगा में डुबकी मारेंगे. No. That is our foolishness, what we have understood the Shastras. It doesn't work that way. When you genuinely believe that what you have done is wrong, then only prayashchitta has sense. And if you say that I never feel that I am wrong, then you are very gross. Then you have to first get slowly, you are much away from the basic dharma system. Correct? And based on that, we had one particular philosophy. That's called Charvaka philosophy. Yeah? Our Shastras accept Charvaka philosophy. Charvaka philosophy is something which is khao, piyo, aish karo. Simple. That's what the philosophy is. In their terms, they used to call it Rinam Krutva Ghritam Pibet. Matlab, I want to enjoy ghee, but I don't have the money for it. I will borrow money and enjoy ghee. Like what we do today in credit cards. I don't have the money, but let me buy it and enjoy it. Why? I cannot control my desires, that I cannot say no, let me first have the earning for it, then go for it. No. The more you are able to take loans today, the more you are able to pay EMI, that much your standing is better. And earlier, if someone used to say that I have taken a loan, people used to look at them very badly. Because that was the ethos very clearly from day one. When you are born, you have already born with 3 debt. Our system tells that when we are born with 3 debts. Devaranam, Pitriranam, Rishiranam. ये जिंदगी भर वो धो धो के निकल के ही वो जाएगा. You cannot, because understand one thing, if you are born, it is because of your parents and that forefathers, they decided to continue this vansh. If they would have decided to stop it, you would not be born. Just because they continued it, you are indebted to them. What can you do? You can't do anything but to serve them. Then comes the Devas. Every system of mine is working. I am indebted to them. My eyes are working, ears are working, everything is working. I get everything around, food, everything is available. If they were not there, rains would not be there, air would not be there. So I am indebted to them. Then comes, if these two are there, I am born, I have got a health, I have got a good health. Then the third thing is, someone has taught me something, due to which I can sit and judge everything today and say that that is wrong and this is wrong. So should not we be thankful to the someone at least who has taught us? And earlier it used to be rishis who had taught us, so it was Rishi Rinam. Today you can call it Newton Rinam, Einstein Rinam, or any Rinam you can give the name, doesn't matter. But so far as you have got some knowledge and you have got a standing because of that knowledge, you are indebted to those rishis, those givers of knowledge. Correct? So ये तीन ऋण तो है ही, इसका ऊपर से कोई भी ऋण लेगा तो you are looked down upon. They say Agniseshah Rinashesho Agnisheshah Shatrusheshas Tathaivacha Punah Punah Pravardante Tasmat Chesham Na Rakshayet. If you have a debt, if you have an enemy, and if you have balance of fire, if these three are not completely extinguished, they will enkindle by itself and multiply. And it will never protect you. So it is your responsibility to first extinguish it completely. Fire रहने दो, enmity रहने दो और debt रहने दो, उसको पहला खत्म करो. वैसा वाला society में how can we take loan and sit? Think about it. So Nishiddha karma. And whoever used to do that type of things, खाओ पियो ऐश करो, देखा जाएगा कल क्या होएगा, what will happen, I will die, so what, हो गया ना, वो डूब गया, that's all, हाथ ऊपर कर देने का. And these type of people were called Charvakas. You know why this name Charvaka comes? Charu means sweet, Vaka means speaker. He's a sweet speaker, con man. He can go speak very nicely, con someone, get something out of them and enjoy it. No thought of giving back. For it is beyond their dictionary to even think about it. They are called Charvaka. Making sense? So even they had very clearly, Dharma Shastras allowed them also to be the way they want. But what will happen? Because of the karma phala, they will get a lot of papa karma and they will have to face it. Due to some punya karma, they got a human birth, but they have misused it. In next janmas, God will take care of it. Are we getting it? So, 5 karmas: Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma, Prayaschitta karma. And with all these karma, there is Adrishta, Punyam and Papa. Hopefully, Krishnan sir, now it is clear to you. When we say karma, it is not what we judge. There is a lot of things behind it. Today, none of these are practically used. So today we will say you just use the logic, and the simple definition of dharma is what? Whatever I cannot do for myself or whatever I can do for myself, I should do for others and I should not do for others. Matter ends. You apply this principle, you will be dharmic in today's world. We can't get back the Vedic world today. So how do you adapt the Vedic world in today's life? If I can do something for myself, I should do it for everyone else. If I cannot do something for myself, I dare not do it for anyone. I should not do it for anyone. If I cannot speak lies to myself, I cannot speak lies to anyone. If I cannot hurt myself, I should not hurt anyone else. Simple rule. The moment you apply this rule, you ask the question, can I do it for myself? Based on the answer, you have to decide. That is why I told that you logically think what is right and wrong, and that's what fits. But when it comes to the Vedika system, every karma is very clearly defined, and they are called as injunctions. Vidhi Nishedaha. The complete karma kanda is called Vidhi and Nishedaha. Vidhi means what you are supposed to do, Nishedaha means what you are not supposed to do. Just give me a second. I need to charge the battery. Sorry. Okay. Fine. So we are still not entered the. We have not entered the Tattvabodha. Doesn't matter. I will take this opportunity to complete what is the difference between shloka and the mantra, because that will also get clarified. Next time, we have no ghai bilkul nahi hai. Every day is a good day to start. Okay. Now, when I mentioned about shloka and mantra, I told that mantra is something which has got intonation in it. That means swara in it. And you cannot change the swara. Whatever I chanted at the start, they are all mantra. Durga Sukta, Shri Sukta, Medha Sukta. I chanted all the three, being Navratri, they are all mantras. I have to use the same tune the way it is given by the rishis. I cannot change it. Okay. And to give this logic about it, I had also mentioned about Indra and Vritrasura's story. Correct? Indra Shatru. If your swara goes wrong, the meaning goes wrong. And that is all for karma. So if you have a desire and based on that I do a sankalpa, I want this, and then I am going to do a certain thing. If anything goes wrong, it can be ulta. But whenever you are going to chant anything just for my mind, my peacefulness, you make hundreds of mistakes also, it doesn't matter. The Shastra does not value it at all. Because you are doing it just to calm your mind. It is a sadhana. Like a japa when you are doing, still, that is why we say learn it from a right person and chant it properly so that you have the right benefit. If you wrongly learn it and wrongly chant it, it can harm you. Compared to this, the other class of literary work which has been authored by someone has written it, there is a name behind it. They are called as shlokas. The Smriti Granthas will have shlokas. Again, they are small, like sonnets, 2 lines, they are shlokas. For example, we say your Namaste Stu Mahamaye Shri Pithe Surapujite Shanka Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute. Okay, I can chant it. Namaste Stu Mahamaye Shri Pithe Surapujite Shanka Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute. I can even put it into a rock music and chant. No problem. No one stops me. That means where the tune can be changed, we call it shloka. In a very nutshell, wherever the tune and intonations cannot be changed, we call it a mantra. Mantras are shruti, coming from rishis. Shlokas are smritis, which are authored by people. Vishnu Sahasranam are shloka. Lalita Sahasranam, shloka. There is an author to it. Clear? So which is a mantra, which is a shloka, now you yourself will know it. You can differentiate it now. That means shloka can be chanted by everyone. Mantras have to be chanted only by those people who have been taught after Upanayana Samskara. Only after Upanayana purificatory process, you have been taught the mantras by the specific teachers, then you can chant it. Okay, this is the rule book. If you tell me, but many people today chant mantras, they learn it from cassettes, they learn it from CD. That cannot be considered as rule book. If they are doing something wrong, even if thousands of people do wrong, that doesn't become the rule. All are wrong. सब चोर का बीच में एक सच्चा आदमी रहेगा तो भी you can't say कि दुनिया चोरी पे जाएगा. No. Okay. So the rule is rule. If you want to follow, you follow. If you don't want to follow, don't follow. And if you don't follow the mantra rule, you will have a papa. So with anything what you do which you are breaking the rule, you will not know there will be a papa into it. That's all. Is this clear, or do you want more? Who are asked about mantra?
Sir, Om Namah Shivaya is the mantra. So
No.
can
No.
no?
No.
Okay.
Om Namah Shivaya, what is the tune to it?
I don't know.
Correct. There it is not a mantra, it is just a shloka.
Okay.
Many a times this, when you do a japa, people call it a mantra. Technically a mantra is which has got swara. Okay. You will be surprised when we chant Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, it's a mantra. Okay. When I am chanting Om Shanti 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 with, or if it's a continuity of Yajurveda, I will chant it differently. In Krishna Yajurveda, and if it is in Shukla Yajurveda, I will chant it differently. Same words, huh? Okay. Krishna Yajurveda will tell Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The third one is going up. The Shukla Yajurveda will say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All the three are coming down. That is why after you chant Purnamada, you have to tell it down only, because Purnamada comes in Shukla Yajurveda. Shukla Yajurveda. So the way you chant Om Shanti also changes.
Sir, what about stotra then? Where stotra
Stotras
stands?
are all shlokas. स्तुति करने वाला स्तोत्र कोई तो एक लिखा है. See, these words are all synonyms and have been used multiple times. Shloka, stotra, sutra. Sutras are used by mainly the philosophers. Okay, they are all written by a person, right? They can be chanted whichever way you want. Whoever wants can chant it. Very specific. For example, I will tell you, Maharashtrians you will know. Om yajnena yajnamaya janta devastani dharmani prathamanya sanna. Isn't it got intonation? Very clear mantra. The same thing, this is as per Shukla Yajurveda or Rigveda. In Krishna Yajurveda it will become Om yajnena yajnamaya janta devaha Tani dharmani prathamanya tehanakam mahimanas sachante yatra purve sadhya santi devaha. Can you see the same mantra has got two different intonations based on the Veda from where it comes, based on the Rishi who has propounded it. Getting it?
Mrityunjaya mantra, sir? It is also
100% Mrityunjaya mantra. Triambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiyama mritaat. 100% mantra.
There are these mantra updesham which many gurus give these days. So can you tell us about that a bit?
Now, mantra upadesha, again, it depends on what they give. If for example, mantra upadesha, Gayatri mantra given is mantra upadesha by the father first. He is the guru. Gayatri mantra during the Janvi Upanayana is given by the guru who is the father, right? Mantra upadesha. After that only all mantras come. And you know what does the Shastra say? You do not need any Upadesha. Go learn the Shastras after Gayatri from a Guru. Learn the Vedas, whoever are eligible, and continue to protect it and propagate it. For others who cannot learn mantras, learn any shloka, learn it from a guru. People call it mantropadesha because it is just a way of telling, not shlokopadesha. Ideally it is shloka only. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is not a mantra. For example, Ramanama, Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. It is, ISKCON will call it Hare Krishna mantra. It is not a mantra. Technically it is not a mantra. Mantra is defined properly. That is why I said that.
आता मराठीमध्ये आम्ही तर आरत्या म्हणतो आणि आरती म्हणणं झाल्यानंतर मंत्र पुष्पांजली ही म्हणलीच जाते.
मंत्र पुष्प आहे ना.
मग ती जर मंत्र असेल, हा तर ते मंत्र असतील, मग ते आमच्याकडनं मग दरवेळी व्यवस्थित म्हणले जातात असं नाही होत ना.
बरोबर आहे.
मग ते चांगलं की वाईट?
वाईट आहे, टेक्निकली वाईट आहे.
मग कसं होईल असं? मग आम्हाला म्हणायला तर असतंच.
नाही, प्लीज अंडरस्टँड. आता तुम्ही बघा, यू जस्ट गो बॅक टू इमॅजिन 100 years बॅक. डू यू फील दॅट आफ्टर Ganpati Puja all the ladies would have also told mantra pushpa or only the gents would have told in your houses?
ऑल सब जन बोलते.
नहीं, 100 years back I am telling. Think, if it would have been 100 years back, if that Shastras and the Dharma was still continuing, or 200 years back, do you really feel that the rest of the ladies would have told? No. Correct? So today people have changed it.
Yes.
Okay? I am not saying this is right or wrong. I am not saying you are going to get papa or punya. Finally understand one thing, what you are trying to do is just to get peace of mind. And when I say that for peace of mind, all these rules really don't apply. We will see that, Chitta Shuddhi, we will see that. But whenever you are going to tell something for a particular resolution, I want to get this benefit, for that I am going to do, then none of these will work. It all depends on your resolution.
Okay.
For what resolution you are doing, because then only everything has a meaning to it. Otherwise just chanting it's just blindly some noise. Don't feel it bad. It will be called a noise.
Yes.
Reality is that. But then people, today I am telling you, in our house also when the Bhadji comes, for him it is a business opportunity. He cannot tell that you are right, you are wrong. Money makes the mayor go ना, आज वो स्थिति आ गया है. So he will agree, हाँ ठीक है, तुमको ये चलेगा, चलने दो, ठीक है, करो. I'll tell you, when I speak to those people, they say, what can we do? Today the situation is so bad that if you tell them what is the right thing, no one wants you to come. Shraddha is supposed to be done only after 11 o'clock. Most of the people will call up the Bhadji and say, please can you come at 7 o'clock? 8 o'clock I have to catch the train after doing Shraddha. He says, at least kar rahe na. At least they are doing. Something is better than ajibat nothing. Correct? From that perspective it is correct. But that doesn't become rule. See, because we are used to seeing it, we start calling that as the rule, which is wrong. I will give you a very simple thing, and I have seen this so many times in our end. Normally when a pradakshina is done to something, the gents are followed by the wife, right? Most of the people have seen only pradakshina during Shraddha in their house. And in Shraddha, the rule is different, that it starts from youngest person to the oldest person. So the person doing it is normally the eldest. Karta has to be the last. So his wife comes before. Now looking at that, because they are exposed only to that, temple में जाएगा तो भी the wife goes ahead and the husband goes back. That is ignorance. Where to use which rule, if you do not know, it is ignorance. But then if no one corrects you, you will continue to do it. Now, in that, is there a papam? There is nothing called a papam in this, because you are doing it by ignorance. It is just an activity you are doing. Do you have a sankalpa? No. Right? Okay. So, let us put karma in the right perspective. And when we look at karma from the Vaidika perspective, it has got a lot of do's and don'ts. And if you mess up on that, then you have more punya papa related. And thankfully, when we come to Vedanta, you will start appreciating and respecting all these more and saying that I need not do that for Vedanta. I can, because if that has not been ordained for me, like so many ladies are going to learn Vedanta. If it is said that after completing the Veda Purva, the Veda chanting, then only Vedanta you can come, then you are all deprived of it. Right? And the Shastras don't deprive. They say you don't have to chant, but you learn the meaning, go with it. So even if tomorrow you are going to learn Upanishad, you should not chant Upanishad. But you can go by word for the meaning part. Nothing wrong to know the meaning. The Shastra never stopped anyone with knowledge. Are we able to get that? So get it rightly, do not have wrong ideas, and normally we try to extend things. Don't extend. Get it clarified and go ahead. Okay? I think with this we'll stop. It is already 9:08. We should continue Tattva Bodha next time. Hopefully if there are questions, now start writing it. We will see in the next question answer session, not before that. Okay? We should move ahead with the text proper, and from next Saturday, properly after Saraswati Puja, we will start Tattva Bodha. Everything is ordained by the God to start at the right time. जो जब होना है वही वो टाइम पे होता है. We should not fight it. Right? चलो, sit comfortably. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. Thank you
Sir,
very
one
much.
question, sir. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's I mean, like just now, like you said that you gave an example of wife doing pradakshina before, and the wife should do after the husband in the temple, right? So this was unknown. I mean, it's unknown to me. So similarly, there are many concepts which we are doing many things unknowingly. So how to balance or nullify that? Is there any ritual or anything?
Nothing. You have to first. There is no ritual for ignorance. The only ritual for ignorance is knowledge. So remove your ego. Go to someone who knows. Ask them what is the right way. Simple, and start doing it. There's no other answer to it. If you know it, I'm not sure about it. I've learnt it just by seeing someone. Let me go to someone whom I believe that knows at least about it. Ask them, do you know? Have you learnt it properly? Okay, can you help me? Okay, fine.
But
I'm ready.
at the first place, we should know, right, that what we are doing is wrong.
No, but you can always go and check it, right?
Okay.
If you have a doubt that what you are doing is wrong, you can always go and check it whether it is right or wrong. And if you get an endorsement that it is right, then continue it.
Okay.
Right? If there is no doubt about it, then ignorance is bliss. Live with it. Then again you have no problem.
Correct.
Correct? Yeah.
Correct.
So don't think of any prayaschitta or anything on this. Prayaschitta for ignorance is only knowledge. Nothing else. Nothing else can cover ignorance. Only knowledge. That you have to learn. Okay? Chal.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, sir.
Dhanyavadaha.